Hello, this is Alexa Cordero, and today we're going to discuss the relationship between low socioeconomic status and childhood obesity in urban areas. We're going to discuss 4 important factors that influence dietary patterns in low-income families, including food affordability and accessibility, social influences, physical environment, and government and community-based initiatives. First, we'll take a look at the challenges that low-income families face when making healthy dietary choices. Healthful foods including fruits, vegetables, lean protein, and low-fat options that promote balanced diets and healthy body weights are typically perceived as expensive among low-income families. Because of this, food affordability acts as a barrier to the consumption of healthy foods. One of the federal assistance programs in the U.S. that provides funding in order to assist low-income families is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as SNAP or the Food Stamps Program. In New York City alone, over 1 million households receive federal assistance from SNAP. They're given money each month to be spent on food items, plants, and beverages. Families who do not plan or budget properly may experience food cycling throughout the month, consuming excess foods in times of adequate resources and an increase of low-cost and energy-dense foods with limited resources. In the U.S., foods that are perceived as affordable tend to be those that are refined, processed, or include high concentrations of fat and sugar, which pose a risk for obesity. Foods that are refined or preserved tend to appeal to those in financial need due to affordability and shelf longevity, including cookies, candies, and juices. These foods tend to counteract satiating effects, particularly in liquid form, leading to overconsumption of added sugars to the diet. Children are directly influenced by the eating patterns and values in their social environment. Considering low-income families, we must consider influences through the lens of a working family, where more emphasis is placed on easily accessible convenience foods. Those facing financial instability also tend to be more susceptible to stress-induced and emotion-triggered eating. When children are disproportionately exposed to parent stress and depression, they pick up on eating patterns that ignore internal cues and favor the overconsumption of unhealthy food choices. Parents' eating behaviors inform the development of children's food preferences. If children are not exposed to portion control or have limited access to fried foods, they consume more fat overall as compared to a diet with a healthy eating pattern enforced. Not only does parent stress promote unhealthy dietary modeling, but also a lower restriction of screen time for children. Sedentary behavior is linked to passive and mindless eating, promoting weight gain. Lacking the promotion of physical activity through screen promotes metabolic risk factors of diseases, including high blood lipids, high blood pressure, and high blood glucose. Children living in low-income, under-resourced neighborhoods compared to those living in higher-income neighborhoods are more at risk for receiving inadequate physical activity opportunities. The programs that support physical activity for low-income areas are typically faith-based or government-run facilities, creating discrepancies in funding and attractability as compared to the programs run by for-profit organizations. It's also important to consider the built environment that surrounds children in low-income neighborhoods, including infrastructure such as playgrounds, parks, recreation areas, and sidewalk and bike paths. Due to greater socioeconomic diversity in larger populated urban areas and the correlation to higher crime rates and an increase in government-funded housing, public space, playground crime rate, and attractability and unsafe pathways make parents more inclined to promote sedentary behavior in public transportation. Exploring the physical environment beyond the scope of physical activity considers the restaurants, convenience stores, and its strategic marketing surrounding low-income neighborhoods. As discussed, children learn food behaviors from their families in order to equip them to make decisions in their outside environments. They are also constantly exposed to child-geared advertisements that glorify unhealthy food choices. When children are exposed to the many convenience stores and fast food restaurants that surround neighborhoods serving low-income families, they are more likely to make unhealthy choices as modeled inside the house. These interventions are typically the most reliable way to educate and inform children and parents. Programs such as Head Start serves low-income families, and in addition to at school, providers educate parents at home and include the promotion of healthy living by offering nutritious meals. School districts of large cities have expanded their free and reduced breakfast and lunch programs by offering free meals all year long at community centers, parks, and even on food trucks. Classroom teachers also have the opportunity to participate in training to incorporate movement into the classroom, and the President's Council is taking initiative in promoting physical activity public service announcements. Overall, there needs to be more emphasis on the carryover of healthy habits into homes that do not have the education, resources, or funds to sustain healthy living. Debates have discussed regulating purchases using food stamps by restricting non-nutritious foods and beverages. There's also been consideration of making healthy foods more affordable by providing food vouchers for fruits and vegetables. In the social environment, studies have found associations between intrafamilial factors and unhealthy habits, suggesting the importance of seeking intervention and social supports from non-family members in the community. It's also important to improve access to and maintain parks, recreation facilities, and infrastructure while providing adequate supports and security in public areas. As children are developmentally vulnerable and those who are exposed to increased risk factors for obesity at a young age are more susceptible to develop health issues when they're older, it's important to create nutrition education programs to educate children and their caretakers in their neighborhoods and home settings in order to support an equitable, accessible, and healthy environment.